Okay, I like the way this thing is broken up. Damn neck strap out of the way. It's very nicely. See, I think this is really nice. Mine didn't do that.
Well, we'll talk about that. There's a reason.
You leave it out in the sun or something? Swamp?
Well, let's talk about it now, in fact. That actually, that crackled surface.
Yeah, I'm into the crackle.
That's a factory defect.
Really?
And it was the black models only.
Oh, yeah, this is a lead 2 though, but it's the same body as the lead 1. Well, slightly different because of the cutouts.
Right. So only the black, and only the, I think it was all the black. There was something.
Because my lead 1 did not do this.
Right. And I have a black and white lead 2. Perfect. The surface is absolutely pristine. But there was some portion of the run, it was either the paint or whatever they finished it with, it was a defect. And it also goes sort of bluish.
Yeah, yeah.
Which you notice.
It's very interesting.
Yeah,
actually.
I like it.
This one.
No, I love it. That's a factory defect.
Well,
so apparently people try to voice that off as being a special custom finish. It is in fact.
Well,
it is in fact.
Depends how you look
a big mess.
The concept of randomness and whatnot. No, it's nice.
It is not in fact.
See, in my lead 1, from rubbing my wrist like this from picking so hard, it wore away the finish smoothly. The lead 1 was black over red. And so you'd see this, instead of white like wood here, where it kind of cracked because of that defect perhaps, you'd see this red kind of fading into black from where my arm kind of went over it. And I kind of like that effect.
Yeah. You also now play the Mr. Science guitar, which is...
It's a K. It's a 60s, real trashy, hollow body electric K. And I was in Madison, Wisconsin on tour during the Maximum Electric Piano days before I was really playing guitar. And I wanted a guitar that I could use the tailpiece on, and I didn't care if it stayed in tune. And I went to a gentleman there that once I should go to. His name was Mr. Science. He's like a mad wizard. And he said, I have just a guitar for you. I've tried to give it away twice. No one wants it. I gave it to a street person, and he gave it back to me. So he said, come back in 2 hours. I came back in 2 hours, and he had the guitar for me, and he fixed it up, set it up, and it's the perfect guitar for me, because no one else wanted it. It needed love.
Like the Fender lead, too.
Like the Fender lead, too. But I play that Mr. Science guitar. It's a K. But you can't really play it like, these kind of chords on it. It's just really bad. But I have the bottom 3 strings are a low E, and the top 3 strings are a G tuned to a G sharp. So I just bar everything like this. That's a unison for those bottom 3 strings. So when I play it like this, it really works. But I once strung it up normally and tried to play it like a regular guitar, and it did not work. So you got to deal with what you got.
What you got.
I was a bass player before I was a guitarist, so I like things kind of wide.
Well, I played bass after. Well, do you think it helped? Do you think it helped you to play bass first?
I think it gave me kind of a different perspective on the guitar, coming from a bass player's perspective. It glued me to the bass player, and
glued you to the drummer.
To the drummer, but it glued me because of the bass players. I understand bass players, so I've played every instrument in the rock band, and shit, that's something I was just gonna say.
Well, Clint plays such an active line.
Right, and when I was a bass player too, I also would play chords on the bass because it just makes sense. And Clint was the same. Clint did the same kind of stuff, without having any idea that I'd ever played bass before. But it's like, I can relate to that.
Yeah,
that's not a problem. So I think that kind of, and maybe it makes me a little more riffy at times because bass players are always, generally I'm known for my outside stuff, so maybe it's completely false.
You play bass with
Sprott and Lair. That was my band in '69, '70.
Aren't you playing bass now with William Hooker and?
Well, William Hooker and Lee Ronaldo. Yeah, I wouldn't really call that bass playing in the traditional sense. That's very free improvisation, though I am playing bass and keyboards, but it's not like rock bass playing.
Right.
Exactly.
Right.
It's quite a different thing. That's like free improv.
Do you have any questions you'd like to ask me?
How long can I keep borrowing this guitar?
Forever.